Kenya's renewable energy is fast gaining traction and attracting investors in this space. The country's renewable energy sector is now on the driver's seat of the renewable energy revolution. Elaine Wangalwa has that report.
Kenya seeks to increase modern energy by use of renewable energy solutions to meet its growing demand. Through these components, the country's energy mix is projected at 19,000 megawatts by 2030.
Looking at the actual targets that government has set itself, they're probably on the higher side. We're unlikely as a country to actually hit those targets. But I think what it does is to actually focus the country towards increasing the reliability and availability of power, which is actually a good thing for industry.
The government has a strong feed-in tariff policy. In fact, I must commend the Ministry of Energy and Kenya Power for the way that they've taken to solar. I mean, they're really promoting it and they understand the benefit. We are developing a number of large projects under the PPA scheme. So SOLARCENTURY's business model effectively is projects such as Garden City in Changoi, where we work together with the business to offset grid power, and developing large plants feeding into the grid, benefiting from a power purchase agreement.
The country is set to benefit from renewable energy deals with wind and solar injected in the national grid in the coming years.
Within the solar sector, there are a lot of proposals being put forward to generate up to, half a gigawatt of solar. So in terms of interest for generating large-scale solar, there's plenty in Kenya. And it's up to Kenya Power and the Ministry of Energy to make sure that the energy mix is balanced.
There are increasingly new technologies in solar which are making solar a lot more affordable and increasingly more commercially viable. In Kenya, geothermal is clearly going to be the front runner in terms of renewable energy connected to the grid. Wind increasingly as well. And so solar depends on what tariff is eventually arrived at. I think ultimately authorities want to ensure that power costs are kept at a minimum, and so you want to keep the very expensive power out of the grid.
One of the recent major developments of Kenya's solar energy market is the installation of Africa's largest solar carport.
So Garden City Mall, we've built a solar carport behind us. It's the largest solar carport in Africa. It's 858 kilowatts. It comprises of 3,364 solar panels. Effectively what we've done is we're in an urban built-up area, and the top floor of Garden City is a car parking space. And we've built a carport structure which effectively houses and protects cars, over 450 car parking spaces in fact, as well as producing electricity to feed into Garden City Shopping Mall.
The solar carport is expected to generate slightly over 2,000 megawatt hours, which is equivalent to light in 550 middle-income homes.
It was a unique way that this project was financed. If Garden City had paid for the project directly, they would probably be seeing a savings of around $250,000 a year. As it was, this was an innovative financing scheme, a lease finance scheme effectively through a company called Solar Africa, whereby Garden City don't need to put any money up front. The carport and solar port is built for them. They pay a fixed sum every year for 12 years, and at the end of 12 years, the system is handed over to Garden City, whereby they can start realizing the full savings.
From an off-grid solution, it's looking very viable because it takes about 12 years for the investment to pay itself back. And I think these are the sort of solutions that increasingly we'll see being replicated. I think that's the biggest, but we've seen a lot of other smaller ones already happening, modeling around the parking spaces. And so, for those solutions, I think clearly they're going to be important, and property owners are going to assess the viability of such solutions in terms of reducing the overall costs.
The project paves way for sustainability towards a renewable energy revolution.
SOLARCENTURY has been active in Kenya since 2013. This is the third solar system we've built. Last year we built a 1 megawatt solar plant for Williamson Tea Changoi Tea Farm. That is still the biggest solar farm in Kenya. And behind me, this is the second biggest solar plant in Kenya. So yes, we see the potential in Kenya and East Africa for solar plants such as these especially where the economy is growing so fast, and you need to find space in an urban area for power generation. We see a great opportunity.